Hi, Phil Hundl here with Land Rights Law with a quick pipeline project update, and this is on WhiteWater's Eiger Pipeline Project. As you may recall, the WhiteWater's Eiger project parallels their prior project from several years ago, the Matterhorn project, somewhat on a similar route, not entirely the same exact route, but for the most part, yes, it parallels the same route. And once again, Eiger, a large pipeline project, high pressure natural gas, very large diameter pipe in some places of the project, especially on what they call the laterals. It's a 42-inch diameter pipe, but on the main line or trunk line, it is a 48-inch diameter line. So a very large diameter line. Once again, starts out at the Waha Hub out in West Texas, and actually goes all the way down to Katy, and then also at the large compressor station in Wharton County. With that, I want to jump over on the screen like I did before and talk about what's next or what's happening in the project. As a landowner, many of you have already you've been asked for survey access, and then you have already been getting offers from the right-of-way agents at Norfleet. And what we have seen in comparison to Matterhorn, the right-of-way agents in same right-of-way agents as in Matterhorn, the right-of-way agents from Norfleet, their initial offers out of the gate have moved up from those initial offers from Matterhorn. So they have moved those up from the Eiger. And so now I want to talk about what kind of is the next stage, and it's the stakeholder meetings and whether you should or shouldn't go and the pros and cons with that. So let me jump over to the next screen. All right, let's jump right into the Eiger project. Once again, this is a WhiteWater project that parallels much of the WhiteWater's Matterhorn project. Now, Eiger, many of the landowners have contacted me and said, hey, I've received this in the mail. This is a stakeholder meeting invitation. Do I have to go? Is it required? The answer is no, it's not required. There's multiple meeting locations. What's going to be discussed, most of what's going to be discussed at these meetings is going to be what is already located here on their website. It's going to be information about the project overall in general, just like on this first page. It talks more about the overview of the project. That's what's going to be discussed. Will they discuss specifically how the project affects your property? I doubt it. There will be right-of-way agents and right-of-way acquisition agents from Norfleet there, possibly a corporate representative from WhiteWater, but mostly the right-of-way acquisition agents will be there, and they will just be talking about, in general, the project. Now, things that I always say from the very beginning for landowners to understand the scope of the project on your property, and so that's extremely important. Many of you have already received actually your plats and initial offers. Now, interestingly, on the initial offers, as I think alluded to earlier, they are higher, much higher than the initial offers in Matterhorn. And we are seeing that with the initial offers, but regardless of what the initial offers are or what is said at the stakeholder meetings, you definitely need to know the scope of the project on your property. I can't say that enough. I have had people multiple times just say maybe it's only going to be temporary workspace, and that's all they thought it was going to be because it was going to be on the other side of their property line, and then all of a sudden the permanent easement area or permanent easement, the pipeline is on their property, and next thing there's going to be a permanent access road, surface site, all those things. I've had that situation before, and so knowing the scope is extremely important. If you've already gotten the initial offer, then it varies 30 to 45 days. You'll get a final offer. Now, once again, Eiger was very quick to make initial offers. And so sometimes condemnors will almost do pre-offers or pre-initial offers and then come back with a more formal initial offer. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. On this project, doesn't really matter. They've made an offer. You need to evaluate it with your attorney to determine if it's a reasonable offer. Land prices have definitely gone up since Matterhorn, so that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. And this pipeline also is obviously going to be taking more land for an easement. It's going to be encroaching further into your property. Depends on what's just how the route is on your property and what side of Matterhorn. If it's paralleling Matterhorn on your property, what side of Matterhorn center line is or easement is it going to be on? All those things are extremely important. Once again, always know where you're at in the process. So arguably we're at 1 and 2 right now in Eiger, and then once you receive the final offer with the appraisal, which is just the next step, that will then be, you'll be in step 3. Also, I've had folks ask me about with the stakeholder meeting, if I don't go, is that somehow going to be held against me? The answer is no. I always say probably it's better if you do more listening than talking. Listen to what they have to say. And once again, if you have questions about the scope of the project on your property, absolutely ask. But as far as your reaction or opinion of the project on your property, I think it's very premature to express that to the right-of-way agents. And what I would hate to see happen is that a right-of-way agent or representative of the company misconstrue your statements about the project on your property. So just be careful there. But once again, if you have other obligations, other scheduling conflict, don't worry about that. There are other meetings, and you can try to attend some of these other meetings if you really want to go to a meeting. All right, so with that, hopefully that's helpful. Once again, Eiger project moving along, and had lots of questions about stakeholder meetings.